All right, so we're going to call the meeting to order. 6 o'clock. Kevin, you want to do roll call for us, please?
Yeah, I have Jen Ansaldi,
Here.
Jerry Doherty,
Here.
Kate Fournier. Kate was here.
I'm here.
She's here.
Oh, there you are. Okay. And Micah.
Here.
Excellent.
Great. We'll skip saluting the flag, but we'll salute the flag. Okay.
I
And
did that
then-
every day during the meeting.
You've done it every morning, right?
Yep.
Good, thank you. Then we have a public hearing on expenditure of the Whitney Maintenance Trust Funds. That's just kind of in there. I'm not really
I know
sure.
Jim Hill is here. Jim, I don't know
Okay.
if you want to speak to the public hearing.
Sure. Hi, guys.
Okay.
We'll have it, there's a board report later on in the agenda. It's like 8I, I think, anyways. But basically, if you recall, Jen and Jerry, I know remembers well, about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we started having some serious issues with the siding falling off the Whitney Center. And as a result, we went out and requested proposals to have the work done. And I think we got turned down by 2 contractors, and one contractor came in at double what we anticipated for a price. As a result, we were kind of bobbing in the water. And then the Dembowski brothers submitted a proposal unsolicited and it was a great price. They did the work, and by all accounts, and my personal viewing, they did an outstanding job for a very reasonable price. And as a result of that, the board at the time, as well as the facilities committee, had agreed that, again, provided that they did the price was reasonable, that we would have them finish the project to not change horses and to maintain some consistency in the workmanship throughout the facility.
Great. Now, none of this was written off, or did we get a credit on this because it was faulty siding to begin with, or something of that nature?
We got some money back, Jen. I forget how much it was. I don't know, Jerry, if you remember or not, but it wasn't Owens Corning. It was some I forget. It was some big company that they had a class
Hardy
action.
Plank.
What was it, Jerry?
Hardy Plank, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. And they had,
I know we got 14,000. And we might have gotten another 10. I just can't remember that or not. But that money all went back to the taxpayers already anyway.
Great, okay.
Not our budgets anymore, but it certainly can offset, it retrospectively anyway.
Right. I just want to make sure that that I remember correctly. So thank you. Thanks, Jim.
and this Whitney Center Trust was specifically set up for just this. This is a perfect example of what it is there for. And it was, the board has granted the authority to expend the money. And this is just exactly why that trust fund was there.
Perfect. Good. And they're not using the same material, correct?
Correct. It's some other, I don't know what it is.
Okay. All right, great.
The only other thing we should look into, I was talking to John Stokey today. He seems to think that we put $10,000 in this year's budget for siding specifically. And if that being the case, we would have to use that before the end of June anyway, which might be able to be used towards the down payment for material.
Okay. Fine. Yeah, Jared, just so whatever, if there is money in the budget, we'll just, because the trust fund can obviously carry over. So we'd want to use up money that goes away first.
Yep.
Great. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jerry. All right. So moving on to approved minutes from April 20th, 20.
So Jen,
You want to do a roll call?
well, a little point of order. So
Yep.
it's a public hearing. you do have a member of the public. I don't know if they would like to ask questions. And then after that, we'll close the public hearing and then just,
Okay, all right, wasn't aware. Is there any questions?
So I'm assuming I'm the member of the public?
you
You're
are.
one of the few.
Oh, thank you,
Hi,
Darlene.
Darlene.
Darlene Ferentz, and I have no questions. I'm just becoming familiar with your Jackson Board meetings, and I attended your meeting last month, and my intention is that you will see me at your ongoing meetings. And Mr. Richard, you and I did speak. I've been working with your school system, and so I'm interested in finding the ins and out, but I'm interested to see that the siding on the building needs to be replaced, but looks like you have it in good order. So no further comment.
Thank you, Darlene. And there's another number I don't recognize out there, but they're on mute, so. Okay, so we can close the public hearing. And do we have to, we don't have to do that. And then move on to approve minutes. Motion to approve minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from April 20th.
Second.
I can second that. It
Great,
looks like
thank you.
Pam is not listed as present on that meeting. And so we just want to make sure that from last meeting, she gets listed as present.
Okay. Thank you. Any other changes to the minutes? No? Kevin, do you still want to do roll call for?
Oh, yeah, we have to, yeah. Jen and
All
Saldy,
right, I know. Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
Here,
and Micah.
Yes.
All right. Any other citizen comments at this time? Darlene?
No, none at this time. Thank you, Jen.
Okay, thanks. All right, presentation of school programs, FYI items.
Nothing will,
Yeah.
I'll cover mine a little bit later on. I think Gail will as well under principals and SAU report.
Great, okay. Has there been any movement on tuition contract for the high school this time? No, right? Okay. So we're looking to appoint a representative to the Cooperative School District Planning Committee. We put this under old business, but I think we should appoint someone soon. We have one more meeting next month, and then I believe they're gonna start kicking this off in August in earnest, right, Kevin?
That's the plan, Jen.
Sorry, so would anybody like to step up? It's approximately one meeting a month, and then we would like to have, obviously some feedback and input on our end of the school board meetings per month as well. So anybody on the school board want to step up?
I don't
rush.
feel like right now I have the background to be able to be as useful in that position.
and when do they specifically meet? Do we know yet?
No, not yet. It's going to be an act of Congress to get, you got to remember, it's all SAU 9 and SAU 13. So we'll try and pick usually in the evening seems to work best, like a off Thursday night. I know that when we did the study committee, that's when they would typically meet just because it's a little bit easier. So we're looking at, an organizational type meeting, and then we'll set the agenda off of that. It would be, we'd want to get an outside facilitator to help steer that so that myself and the SAU 13 superintendent can be of resources, but we wouldn't be necessarily steering that committee.
Okay. And-
I'm happy to do it if nobody else wants to do it.
Thank you, Jerry.
I'd
I
love
think
to
that
do
the
it.
Thursday evening, those kind of evening times are tricky for me to be really consistently present. Thank you.
The other thing I think we should do though is, do we need to put like a notice out into e-news to ask for community members? Doesn't it get a community member as well?
Yeah, so that was my next decision, was going to be after this. We got our school board member now, but yeah, I would like to have a community member, and we have extended an invitation to Sasha to be on that, and she has said yes. I don't know if she's still interested. I sent her an email, but I haven't heard back yet.
Oh, great. So she's due like any minute with her baby, her second baby. So I can also follow up with her on that, Jen, but just kind of an FYI, I think she's, trying to pause out some work.
Yeah, because she did, and I'm open to see who else would be interested. Like Darlene would be amazing. And maybe we have two people so they can kind of fill in for each other a little bit. But we should put something out in e-news as well, and then we can decide from there, because we're going to need a little bit more community involvement as a whole, and the more people that could be educated and involved, at least in the initial part, would be fantastic for the community.
I imagine too, if they start from a remote venue, these kind of forums, I think, are a little easier for more of us to jump in on and participate. And so, that with this kind of forum, that might be a little easier. Like if Gary can't make it, for me to jump on this versus drive to Conway is, with the kids, is a little bit more manageable.
And I do think we're going to want to have somebody be consistent through this. So it's going to be like the portrait of a learner type thing, where it's going to grow each week, and the depth of knowledge might be helpful. So yes, occasionally somebody could fill in, but I'd like to have like a definite representative from the school board and at least one representative from the community, with possibly two, is my point.
So Jen,
Yeah.
Darlene, this is Darlene again. So if Sasha does not work out, or you'd like a second person, then I would be willing to step up for that.
That would be amazing. Okay.
So you
I do think we should also put, thank you very much. That would be lovely. I think we should also put it into e-news, just to put it out for public affairs as well. But I would really count on you, Darlene, if you're going to say yes, and then Sasha, because she already said yes, but we'll see. We'll check in with her again.
Absolutely.
Great. All right.
Jen, just
Kevin, yep.
to pick up on Kate's comment, I think that, Kate, one thing that we've learned through this whole experience is that, the remote piece will be an option for people moving forward, at least for accessibility pieces. And, whether it's you have half of the people that are in person and half, it makes it a little bit more tricky. But I think a lot of the work in the subcommittee meetings will take place, in this way right here. It just makes it a lot easier for people to manage your schedules. So
Great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to instructional issues, if we're all done with that. Kevin, you can guide me on this, but I'd like to vote on present all of 1 through 6 for A1 through 6 all at once, and then we can vote on them separately after we've accepted them all in one chunk.
gold star, Jen. Gold star. Doing well.
So I'd like to make a motion to accept first readings of the policies A1 through 6.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Great. All right, so we'll discuss JLDBB, suicide prevention, education in schools. Again, this is the first reading. These have gone through the policy committee. If you've read the policy committee minutes, you'll be fine on those, but these have gone through there. So all those in favor of approving or JLDBB, suicide prevention, education in schools?
Jen Ansaldi.
Approve.
Jerry.
Yes.
Kate.
Yes.
And Micah.
Yes.
Great. Moving on to AC, non-discrimination, equal opportunity. All those in favor of moving this on?
Jen Ansaldi.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
Kate.
Yes.
And Micah.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to ACAA-JBAA, harassment and sexual harassment of students.
Jen, may I interrupt you?
Yes, please.
So just a point of information, since these policies, these non-discrimination policies were updated, the Department of Education has released that our Title IX law has changed. So, and we have to have an updated policy in place by August 14th. So my recommendation at this point in time is that you do approve this ACAA, JBAA policy. I just want you to be aware, and I'll also ask you to approve it at second reading so that we're current for the portion of time before the new law goes into effect. And then I'll be bringing back to you updated language, very specific to the new Title IX rules later in the summer. We'll have to figure out what your meeting times are, but I'll have to have that done before August, but after I get trained. So I just wanted you fully informed as you move this to second reading.
Great. So this will go again in front of the policy committee meeting, which we have one, I believe, in early June.
Yeah, it won't
You
happen.
won't be ready in that time.
The-
Okay, I don't know if we have one scheduled for July, but we can have an emergency meeting.
Okay.
All
All right.
right.
A lot of these are just kind of, probably don't need policy committee meetings for, they're just stuff we have to have on the record. And
Well,
hopefully
yeah.
that one might be not changed because of the lawsuit against it, so we'll see.
Well, yeah. We've been having regular policy committee meetings for all of these as we've been updating them. But you're right, maybe we don't need to have an emergency one for that one. All right, so all those in favor of approving ACAA, JBAA, harassment and sexual harassment of students?
Jen,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes,
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
All right, I guess do we need to approve the JBAA delete replaced by ACAA, JBAA?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Can you
All right,
say that
moving on.
again? Okay.
Speaking another language, la 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 la. So moving on to number 5, ACAAR, JBAAR, Student Discrimination Harassment Complaint Procedure. And will this also be affected?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll approve this and then we'll see what happens.
Jen,
Yes,
Jerry,
yes,
yes,
Kate,
Yes.
Micah.
Yes.
say yes.
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 Okay, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I
All
said
right. Okay. ACF, guidelines for processing requests for reasonable modifications to policies, practices, or procedures for individuals with disabilities. I'm a yes.
Jen, Jerry,
yes,
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
All right, moving on to 7A, extension of principal's contract. Motion to extend.
so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Jen,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes,
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
thanks for your continued leadership, Gail.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes,
Especially
thank you.
during this time.
It's really just want to say a couple words because in this time, it's really put a lot of stress on families and staff members. And it has been really my privilege to work with the administration. The administration has been highly committed to making this the best it could be. The teachers have really jumped in, the staff, the families who are now teaching at home. Everybody has really, really put in a lot of effort for the kids of this community. So I'm really proud to be able to work with such a committed group of individuals. It is a difficult time, but it's being made that much easier by all of us pulling together and working for the kids. So thank you to all of you as well.
Thank you, Gail.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you. That was so sweet. Okay. Business Affairs, FYI 2019-20 budget status report. Anybody have any questions on the budget? No? Gail, any issues with the budget that we should know about that you don't share? We're good?
Nope, seems
Okay.
to be going well. Yep.
Okay, good. Correspondence from Board of Selectmen. I saw that, or is, I don't know if Lily's on, but I guess, is that going to be okay, the way that the selectmen have decided to do the funding?
Yeah, that's fine. I think that, remember, we were back in the beginning of March when we talked about that. And it was essentially the town of Jackson's money all gets held by the town offices and the selectmen. So it was really just making sure to try and minimize that flow of money. And I think some people get a little bit confused. The school board is the only one who's the authorized agent to make sure that the money is spent. So sometimes people say, oh, you're paying off the bills. No, you only pay off the bills when they come to you folks and you sign the manifest. So it was simply moving it from the town account to the school account so that we could cut out the middleman, if you were, because we weren't sure back in March what effect COVID-19 was going to have on, you know, the business operations, and making sure that you could sign checks in a timely fashion, you get the money from one spot to another, and then out to all the vendors. So at this point, there's no issue. Jackson has the money, and it seems like everything is working well, and it's not as much of a hindrance to get those things done. So it was more preventative, kind of looking down the road and making sure that we can still make payroll for all your employees and all those things. But at this point, it really is not an issue.
Good, okay, as long as it's not an issue, then I'm okay. Thank
It's a cash flow issue, and
Right.
Jackson uses its undesignated fund balance for cash flow, and never takes out a tax anticipation note. That's why they like to have us on the payment schedule that they do, and they didn't want to change that for now, which is understandable. It's a little bit confusing when they said they wanted to be frugal. Not quite sure what frugality has to do with it. But I was going to actually follow up with them just to make sure we're all on the same page with what's happening.
Yeah, you may want to do that, Jerry, because they've had some change in players and some other questions going around. So that might be helpful. You could. All right, FYI program assurances for federal formula grants. That looked all right. Gail, do you want to chime in on that, or?
Oh, these are the next two pieces, item 8D and 8E are, we have to go through, whenever we receive money from the federal government, all these assurances are doing is making sure that we're playing by the rules and we aren't doing anything funny with that money. So for example, if it's Title I money, we need to make sure that it's purchased, it's inventoried. If we go out to bid, we have to go through a bidding process for any of these pieces. Everything meets the auditor's requirements. So these are assurances. If you go through and you take a look, make sure that we don't discriminate against anybody in that whole process. So that's what that one is.
Great. And I assume the second one is, D is also the same.
Yeah, D is a little bit different. D is, this is the new money that's coming out of the CARE Act. It's called the Elementary Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. And I just need to let you folks know that if there's federal dollars related to COVID-19 or remote learning experiences, that we're going to take that money and we're going to help hopefully offset some of the costs. So for example, if we have to buy protective equipment, if we have to buy things that support remote learning, cleaning, we're going to try and take as much of that federal money to offset some of the expenses at the Jackson School District level.
Great, that'd be awesome.
So E does need a vote on that. I don't know, you could take item E, F, G, H, I, consent, and then vote on those individually if you'd like, Jen.
That'd be perfect. So we will do that. Do I have to repeat that? No.
Motion to approve E through I.
Thank you. Second. All right. So E, approval of general assurances, requirements, and definitions for participation in federal programs. Yes.
Jen, yes. Jerry?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
And Micah?
Yes.
Moving on to F, approval of agreement with Bartlett for school nursing services. Seems status quo. Yes for me.
Jen, Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
A bit of an emergency. Yes.
So Micah, just your first time through. So Bartlett, for a couple of these positions, what ends up happening is it's very difficult to get part-time people, like a part-time nurse, and you actually buy these services off of Bartlett for your library, your school nurse, OT services. So some of those pieces, it's better for you folks to buy those services from Bartlett than try and advertise. Gail will tell you to find somebody for 1 day a week or 2 days a week is very difficult. So it
Great,
works
that's
out with Bartlett.
helpful. Yeah, that makes sense. Yes.
All
All
right.
right, moving on to the approval with Bartlett for library media services. I'm a yes.
Jen, Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
And then the approval agreement with Bartlett for OT services.
Jen, Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you guys not hear me very
I'm
well? Is that
frozen.
what's going on?
Jen, you lagged for a second there.
Yeah, it froze. I don't know. Okay. Did we get everybody?
We need I.
Yeah,
We didn't-
okay. Yeah, it kind of froze on Kate, which was lovely. Approval of contract for Whitney Siding. Yes.
Jen, Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
Okay, and we're now to Kevin for the COVID-19 update.
Yeah, so a few pieces that we're still wrangling with is you'll hear from Gail about what's happening directly in Jackson, but as far as I have to echo what Gail was saying, the more I get out and I talk to people about remote instruction and what's happening in other places, I'm so proud of the efforts of everybody in SAU 9 and the amount of time and energy that people are putting in and the commitment to the kids in the valley is just unbelievable. And it's really a lot of work, but these folks are sticking to it and doing a nice job with it. The other pieces that we are talking about is we'll be developing a reentry subcommittee district-wide, and we have representation across the board. We'll formalize that by the end of this week. But it has nurses on there, medical professionals, and building administrators, union representatives, and that's kind of the big piece that we're looking at. Of course, it's ever changing, and to anticipate too far out is very difficult. We've made the decision, Pam can talk a little bit about it, to hold the ESY remotely to begin the summer, and we will reevaluate in July. And one of the things that we're looking at is, if there are opportunities to bring kids back, we don't know if there will be or not, but we know that transitioning students back is really important as well. So playing it by ear, there is a statewide Department of Education. You probably get email blasts from the School Board Association as well. The Commissioner of Education is putting together a group to help develop some guidelines, and there are a lot of different models out there that we're taking a look at, and a lot of things that need to take place, to be honest with you. And that will be a work in progress as we head into the summer. The other part is hiring is a little bit unique and different, and I know that you folks in Jackson have a couple positions that you're taking a look at, and Gail will probably tell you that a lot of it is remote, and then when they meet with me, it's remote. And of course, fingerprint and background checks are a little bit different. And then, I know in our other districts here, that student teachers are coming out and they had a hard time taking the praxis test, and they're kind of jumping through some hoops trying to get their certification right now, which is kind of a pain in the neck for them. But we're working with those folks. And then, of course, we have the big one about kind of high school graduation and the plan for graduation. I can show you and take a look, but really it's, it's one of those things that came from actually Pam and her husband brought it to me and brought it to the high school. And it was just a unique idea. And I kind of told the staff the other day, we had some decisions to make. Are we going to do this? And it's going to be a lot of work, and why not try it out? And I tell you, the administrative team and everybody has been working diligently to make this happen. I will say that there's still a few hoops that we have to go through because we have to follow some pretty strict protocols in order to make this work. And talking about screening, talking about providing personal protective equipment, sanitizing everything, social distancing. And that's really the big piece. And to get out to the community that as much as, we want to celebrate graduation, we need to focus on the graduates. They have a limited number of tickets. I know people want to do some things, and we're looking at how can we help support the graduates. But it'll probably take 6 to 8 hours to go through the full graduation. And people are committed to it, never batted an eyelash, and kind of staging it in the parking lot to the base of the mountain, to the chair, up the chair. We have some aerial photographs. People went up there and measured everything out in different stops and get the diploma and then get a photo and then come back down. It's just a unique experience. We feel so badly for some of these seniors sometimes that are missing out on a lot of different things. Still working within the guidelines, but it's looking very positive and very special for our students. There is a rain date of the 14th, but we hope that the community responds by allowing those kids to, without interference, I guess is the biggest thing, and focus on those kids. And that really is the big push that we have going on now. It's busy. It's real busy, but it's good stuff.
It's awesome. I've heard nothing but, at the store here with people coming in, I've heard nothing but positive feedback and how lucky we are and how Cranmore, has enabled us to do that without charging, which is fabulous as well, because it is expensive for them to run the lift for one day. But I think it's a great opportunity to take advantage of where we live and show the case to the community at large. So I've heard nothing negative from anybody.
Yeah, I'd like to just say Ben Wilcox, former Kenna High graduate and community member, and the Wilcoxes have always been in the Fairbanks family, who really embraced the idea and are running with it. So to publicly acknowledge them for their efforts is absolutely great.
Oh, thank you, Kevin. Gal, any updates? She's still on?
Gail,
John,
you're
but she's
muted.
muted.
Yep,
There she is.
there I am. Sorry.
Okay.
We are also working on our transition promotion ceremony and tossing around several different ideas, as Kevin said, wanting to maintain some of our traditions, but also keep everyone safe. So we're looking at maybe the pavilion or even inside the Whitney Center for just the families as a couple of ideas at the moment. We haven't really firmed anything up at this point. But we have put a plan in place for transition activities with Bartlett. Our students will meet with Victoria and some representatives of the 7th and 8th grade class from Jackson who've already transitioned up there to share their thoughts about, what they needed to know about being successful in Bartlett. They're going to start their advisories a little bit early so that the students will get an opportunity to meet the other students in their advisory before summertime. And we will have someone take them on a virtual tour by cell phone around to show them the various places in the Bartlett School that they need to know. Also, the teachers, John and the middle school staff will be meeting as they always have to share their academic and social emotional information on the kiddos to make sure that the Bartlett staff knows each child's workings before they arrive. I'm not sure, I haven't heard about a parent meeting yet, but I do think that Joe was looking at packets of information, at least to get out to the parents of the incoming sixth graders to help with that transition piece. Are there any questions about the transition? And then I'll move into configuration.
No, go ahead.
No, if you had a question about that.
Nope.
Okay. So I've shared with you the transition plan for the next 2 years as I have the last couple of years. You will notice that it's proposed for this fall, depending on the reentry plans. We may need to do something different around class sizes and numbers of kids in rooms. I'm not sure where we're going to be. So this is a little bit flexible, but I also wanted to say, I missed 2 K1 students. So we actually have 11 students in K1 next year. So you could update that and it would be 15 the following year. You'll notice, sorry, for 21, 22, you will notice that I needed to move back to a 5-6 model due to the makeup of the student body at that point. So that year there will be a 4th grade standalone and a 5-6. These are homerooms for the 21-22 school year. Any questions?
No, I just, that 6th grade will be mostly on their own, even if their homeroom is 5-6, so, like as we've done in the past, correct?
It will depend. There's really only 2 of them. So, you know, it'll be hard for them to be a class or a group together. So they will be doing a lot more with the 5th grade than they have in the past, just due to the limited number. We want them to have peer experiences as well. We'll continue to do the, as much as we can, the C-Perch and the activities with Bartlett that we always did with just the 6th graders. But around campus, they'll be mostly together.
Makes sense, unless we drum up some people, so.
Right, yeah, we've been waiting every year and we get new kids. It's like, why can't we get new kids in that group? They always seem to go above and below them, but never with that particular group, so.
All right, thank you.
And that's
Anything
it.
else, Gail?
Nope,
Nope,
thank
okay.
you.
So board member A, the committee reports, policy committee. So I think everybody saw the minutes on the policy. We continue to meet pretty much monthly. We took 1 month off for the COVID thing in the beginning, and we're ramping through a lot of policies, getting them up to date, making sure Pam's been great, Katie's been great, bringing the policies to the Jackson and the Bartlett. We usually meet in Bartlett, or when we did meet, we met in Bartlett to review all the policies. And I think I'm feeling pretty good about the policies moving along and getting them updated. So I think Kate also, do you have anything to add, Kate?
I wasn't able to attend the last meeting, just based on life. But it has been going really well. It's been nice to kind of, no, I'm good. Just to kind of tick those off, especially some of the ones that have been just dormant for so long.
Yeah, it's been good. So that's it on that. Board discussion, I would like to bring up that we had said in the fall that we were going to have a goal setting session, actually in May or June, I believe, so that we could have it ahead of when Gail needs to set her goals moving forward. So I would like to propose a date, at least get that on the board. Sasha may not be available since she's going to be giving birth. Probably done remote, but I do want to move ahead with having a goal setting session. And I'm open to a date in early June. Anybody want to throw a date out?
Do we need to do a separate meeting, or is there any wisdom of just having a longer general time that we've already organized?
We like to have it more of a workshop, so
Okay.
it's not a school board meeting. And I
Okay.
do like to have it separate
Okay.
just because it could take a couple of hours. And then to have the school board meeting on top of that could be a little daunting for everybody. So I'd like to come into it fresh, maybe
Noted.
have it a little earlier in the day. We'll see how it works for everybody. And then it would be ideal if we could have Sasha join in as well, but probably
mean,
not right now.
So just to be
Yeah.
able to speak to that, just because I intimately know what's happening, because we're,
Yeah, she's not going to be ready.
no, so if we do it in June, she won't be there. If we did it in July, she could be, but is June the hard time that you want to have it, Gail? Which is fine. I'm just giving you that feedback.
We have not set our dates for our admin retreat, but we typically set our district-wide and school-wide goals in the beginning of August. Would that be safe to still do it in July, Kevin?
You're muted, Kevin.
Muted myself. Ah, yes. For once, I know I muted myself here. No. Yeah, I think if you did it, right after the 4th of July, maybe the second week of July, you're in good shape there. Really, the end of July, beginning of August is when we take a look district-wide at some of those goals. So I think if you're, before like July 15th, you're in pretty good shape there.
Okay, so we can extend that invitation out. So I'll send out some dates and see what's
That'd be
available
great.
for
I think,
everybody.
yeah, and I think if we could have Sasha as part of it, I think that would be great. And I think that something late, like on the later end of it, I think she could probably make sense to accommodate. So that would be a good call.
It would, because she was fabulous for the first round
Definitely.
we had, and you'll be brought up to speed quickly, Micah, in it.
I've
so
already
we had
heard
a-
about it.
Yeah, there you go. You probably know more than you need to know. And I'll just leave it at that, okay? So you still came out and joined the board, so it couldn't have been all that bad.
Exactly, it's all good.
So I'll set out some dates and we'll get the ball rolling on that. Okay. Making a note. Okay. So set the date for the next meeting is June 15th. Still good for everybody?
What day is it?
It's in a month. Go with a month. All right. So I'm going to go with yes. Does anybody else have any board discussion? I didn't mean to just go off there on that. No?
I would just say that when we set the date for the next meeting, those are the meeting dates that we've pre-set up. We do kind of have to announce it to make it official. So that's kind of why we announced that date.
You mean June 15th?
Yeah,
Right.
technically we have to say that we're having a meeting next month then. So that's why we do it. It's not really to discuss whether we're having the meeting that day or not. It's just, you kind of have to say it to do. We can debate whether we want to have it that day or not, but it's.
Just making sure. I'm being conversational. All right. Correspondence regarding school facility approval. So that was in there. Everybody good with that? And then the last thing is adopt portrait of a learner. So we do need to vote on this. It's in there.
There it
So I
is.
don't know how many people have been keeping up with the portrait of a learner that's been going on with the community. I was on it until the COVID hit, and then I had to bail out to take care of my own business during the day. But it's a great opportunity to bring in the community at large, and it's the next phase after the first round that we did. What was the first round we called? Forgot, Kevin.
Oh, well, it really is the kickoff of the second round of the strategic plan. I like to tell people that part of the success of moving to remote instruction was the strategic plan of the last 5 years and some of the pieces related to it. So this is the portrait of a learner. Is really what we're asking for is the different boards to say, yeah, we have the vision statement, we have the mission statement, but what is it that we want our learners when they leave us to have in place, and how will that steer the vision of education moving forward? So you'll see, I'll just kind of walk you through in December, a number of community forums, and then there was a big presentation. Surveys were given out and people were able to provide input. And then out of that became the Portrait of a Learner design team. And Jen was a big part of that as well, and had about 35, 40 people that were part of the team. And they worked in different roles. You had students there, you had business people, parents, and school board members and administration, and then a few work sessions that were taking place. And of course, you start really wide with a lot of things, and you try and make the message a little bit more simplified. So throughout February, that group, that design team, really kind of went through. Katie Wilson helped facilitate that whole process and get it to the point where, okay, these are the big pictures. These are the big rocks that we're looking at, and then develop a graphic representation. So you folks, all the different boards are going to be presented to this, but when you take a look at it, we do have the vision and the mission here. And I don't have the color copy, but it's very nicely done, different colors. But talking about these big pictures here, these big rocks, right? The mindset, ability to approach the world with perspective of adaptability, resilience, and perseverance to maximize growth and potential. We talk quite a bit about growth mindset. And Jen, feel free to kick in, but and then you'll see character. So the character was there, and then you'll see processes, right? The ability to transfer those skills and think critically in problem solving, and then communicate. So that was really, there were a lot of iterations related to it. Wanted to be reflective of where we are in the valley. So the pictures were kind of vetted out and put into place. If you want to see it in color, I might be able to dig it up here real quick, but pretty good process, and this is what the committee is recommending, and it'll go to the SAU 9 school board next month. So looking for people to get some buy-in and say, yeah, these are all good pieces. Jenna, you were part of that. Do you want to kind of give your 2 cents worth?
I felt it was a really interesting exercise throughout the community. We did try and engage a lot of the community. The surveys were really well responded to as far as what people are looking for a graduate. And the most profound information I found was actually from some of the students who we called in. This is the seniors who came in and helped with this as well. And it was a lot different than I anticipated when we started out. These are a lot more what I would consider soft skills that we're focusing on, as opposed to, it seems like we have down the academics. So we have that in the bag is pretty much what it is. And now we're looking at some other processes that we want our students to graduate with. And this is what we've come up with. And it's quite impressive, I think. And if we could set our goals to this as we move forward and help our students graduate with this would be outstanding. So I think we got it all. Does anybody else have any questions on this?
Kevin, I just shared it with you in color in an email.
Does anyone have any questions or input while we're switching over to color?
So my question is, what do you do now with this? What's the next step?
This should move forward to such as the plan that we did 5 years ago. So this will help set the SAU 9 goals for the next 5 years. So we'll be looking at this information as we set the high level goals that will trickle down to each of the schools to make sure that we're trying to address each of these, the communication, the process, character, mindset, each of these things, so that when our students graduate, they have these skills. So such as we did 5 years ago with the strategic plan, we refer back to that with the goal setting session at a higher level, and then they break down to each individual depending on the grade and the school. Pretty much it. And there was several teachers involved with this, the students, we had some alumni, and a lot of the community was involved with this as well. I was surprised how many people, at least from the online surveys, responded. We had 500, 400, 500 at each round responding. Any other questions, comments? Kevin, you okay?
Good, I'm good. Yeah. No, I'm just switching back and forth. Now, really, this is the like I said, it's simple. Out of the last one, you had 5 different focus areas, and then you had about 24 different goals related to that, and then you had about 75 action steps. And if you go back to the SAU9 website, you'll see that a lot of these pieces really helped us, and technology was one, a focus area that we, in what this will say is, you don't want to teach technology in isolation, right? We want to use technology that is dynamic, that is, available for students as a tool, and how do they use that? So that was really a big piece, and it forced, us to really look at the budgets and say, this is something that we need to make sure that we have in place. So these are those big pictures, and then out of those, the focus groups, the goals, and then the action steps, and we will fit those into these big ideas.
Great. So I don't know if we necessarily need a hard approval, but I think we should take a vote to approve it from the Jackson board to pass it up to the SAU. So I will approve it to pass on.
Make a motion to adopt the Portrait of a Learner.
I can second.
Second.
Jen,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Is that it? Any other citizen comments? Darlene?
No, but I really loved that graphic in its simplicity, yet when you read it, it has really good teeth. So kudos to the group that developed that graphic.
Thank you. I'll pass that along. Thank you. All right, we're done. So we have no non-public tonight. Call the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, Jen,
Thanks, guys.
Jerry, Kate, and Micah. Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Be well.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.